Samtastic with another midnight update. Except in this case it's not really a midnight update, it's more of a midnight upgrade project, because I got my Q8400 2.66 GHz Core2 Quad CPU. So I'm super excited and I want it in my computer, and I'm gonna do that. And actually, while I'm at it, I apologize for the noise. I'll try to be more careful this time around, but I'm gonna kill this light if I can figure out how, and take a look at the computer. So that's how it looks running the fans there. The front of it's glowing blue and it's looking mighty nice. So yeah, that's after that project. Good stuff. Right. So yep, we're gonna. It actually doesn't take very long to replace the CPU, and that's what I'm gonna be doing. Let's go ahead and unbox this. I guess. Let me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Moving the camera wasn't really something that I had thought too clearly on. So I think I'm just looking around for something to break the seal on this box, because they're not something that you can accidentally crack. And I think in this case I did not come prepared. I used to have actually old RAM chips on my keychain that I would use as box cutters, and right now I'm going to use a car key, and we're going to take a look inside here. So this is one of the better CPUs that you can get for the LGA 775 chipset, and that's good stuff. I bought the retail version of it. The difference between the retail and the OEM is that the retail comes with a fan, and the reason I prefer that, I've already got a fan with my CPU, but I've been using that with my CPU for some time, and I prefer to just, if you know, in the case that I'm not getting an aftermarket fan, it's pretty inexpensive to just go ahead and get the retail version of the retail release of the CPU, so that you can get a case fan that's designed to run it at non-overclocking specs. And now this is a weird box design. You can see that fan in there, and what you can't really see is how to get to it. So I don't really like getting nice new hardware and then, oh, there we go. It just fell right out. And I guess you pull that open, and this is the CPU. It's pretty small for what it does, for sure, and we're going to be putting this in my computer. The way that these are made, the LGA stands for Land Grid Array, I believe, and the CPU itself does not have pins as old CPUs used to. And so it's all flat on there. And the way that this works is you just set the CPU directly down into the socket. Some people call it socket 775, but I like to refer to it by its proper name, LGA 775. So I closed all the applications on my laptop back there and restarted it, so hopefully the video is going to run a little bit smoother this time around, and we're going to get this done for real this time. Alright, let's move on. So here we are inside the case. I don't feel like you need to see me open this up every single time. And this is how you do one of the really simplest and most significant upgrades on your system. So I'm going to unplug the power to the board right there, get that out of the way. And I think this fan should go as well. Just get that cord out of the way. Just kind of tuck this stuff off to the side. So we're going to unplug this, and this fan's coming off, so turn these tabs. One way or another. Alright, well, they are designed with these little screwdriver points on them, so I'm going to use that just to simplify this process instead of trying to get my fingers in there. And then once you get those up, you can pull those tabs out. Theoretically, and disconnect your fan. And for some reason, it's not playing nice. Always my luck, right? There we go. Just needs a little bit of coercion. So one of the things that is a good idea when you don't have that anti-static strap is to just touch the metal on the case before going in here. One of the things I like to do also after I unplug the power supply is to hit the power button on the computer just to drain whatever may be in there. And so this is the CPU down there, and on this board you just pull that little lever to lift this up, and this comes free. And note this is leaning against my RAM, but it's the heat sink on the RAM that it's covering. That's actually covering the chip, so this metal's not going to disrupt anything there. So carefully lift that CPU out, and I'm going to want to clean that off before I really seal it up in this new package. And so I guess you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pull that one out, just kind of set that one in there and leave it open for now, off on the side. So it's got these two little notches in the side of the chip that you can see there, and those are going to correspond to the two little notches on that there. And so you just kind of set it in place and make sure it's not loose. Well, I mean, it's going to have a little bit of wiggle room. Make sure it's in place, I think is what I'm going for there. Lower that back down and clamp it in place. Now the CPU fans that you get are going to have some beads of that thermal compound on there to help transfer the energy off of the CPU. And so the first thing we want to do is make sure that these are popped loose, because we don't want them to be pushed into place. We want that to be able to slide into the board before that's mashed into place. So before doing anything crazy, this should all be pretty much ready to be pushed directly into the board at this point. But you also want to make sure that this is going to be able to reach your required spot once you plug it in. So that right there, how it came with it, is not really going to reach that far. So it's kind of an unfortunate thing. If you just kind of set that in place like that, you can see it's not going to go far enough to actually get to that right. Well, I know it's difficult to see, but it doesn't quite reach where the fan plugs in. And so I'm going to need to pull that loose, and it's just cheap plastic, so you can kind of tug on it there. So you get that, you try to not tear your wires too much, so you get that loose, and it's got another one right here that keeps that going on. I'm going to try to get this light a little bit more on track there. So then you've got that in place right there, and it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. So I'm going to put the fan on like that, so that it's actually going to be able to reach that spot that it needs to. And it's got a pretty good radial symmetry here, so you don't have to worry too much about that, about like the angle in which you put it in there. And you just get those all in the right places, and make sure that you're not putting this in upside down. plug that in place, and then these you just nervously push into the motherboard. Yes. Nervously indeed. So as I've stated before, this is kind of the part that I hate because it causes the board to flex when you're doing it. But fortunately with the new fan, it's all equipped and ready to go. However, like a total tool and a moron here, I'm going to have to remove this. So you get to see how to do that in case you missed the last video. Pop this loose because I forgot kind of a key step here. You can, I don't know how well you can see that pattern on there of this paste going onto that processor, but I don't think that's enough. So I'm going to break out my own little aftermarket thermal compound. I'm going to just put a little bit of extra on there to make sure that the heat is transferred off the way that it's supposed to be, because I love this stuff. And I'm going to put an S on there because S is for Samtastic. And then we'll take this fan and carefully, without dropping it, we will turn all of these back. Make sure they're all closed up there. And set this back into place. Oh, I'm getting like squeaky noises. That's not good. There we go. That's where you belong. And clickety clickety, solidly, securely installed a new CPU. I'm doing something wrong here. Nope, yep, nope. I am definitely doing something wrong here. I need to plug in the things that I unplugged. That's kind of a big important part of this. So what did I remove? There's the 6-pin, 8-pin connector that goes right. It's actually two 4-pin connectors, as it turns out, go in together right here so that I can properly power my motherboard. That's important, I think. And then this fan as well gets plugged in right over here. Done. And just kind of want to make sure that that's out of the way, which it is in this case. So we'll slap this lid back on. Make sure you're not pinching any wires. And that's what's going on. I've got those little rubber seals from the fan apparently get pinched when I do this, so did not realize that previously. But not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, I would say. Because it's just on the back of the computer. And I'm going to boot this up on camera so you can see what that's like. But I'm going to hook it up without doing that, making you wait for it. Okay, so this is not the best little setup. Once I actually have a computer dedicated to this task, I'm going to be able to actually split the video signal and show you exactly what it does. And first I actually have to throw the switch on the PSU. There we go. Oh, something's making noise. I don't like that at all. Okay, and get that pointed a little better there. The wires along the CPU fan actually were touching, so I just kind of pulled that through a little bit to give it some slack, so it's not quite so in the way. So we're going to see if it's still doing that. Nope, beautiful and quiet. And when it first boots up, you're going to hopefully get a screen that tells you that your hardware has changed here. So, warning, 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 new CPU detected and ROM SIP table has been updated accordingly. A system reset is needed for the new setting taking effect. So we'll go ahead and Control-Delete. It used to be on actually my first computer that I built. It was with a K62 450 megahertz processor. You actually had to set jumper settings for your CPU, so you could overclock it with jumper settings. Warning, the previous overclocking has failed and the system will restore to its default setting. Good. We're going to go ahead and enter the setup menu just to make sure that we don't have anything crazy going on with this. Entering setup. Feel free to do it. Any point here. So it is saying right there, it's hard to see with the focus on here, but it does say Q8400 at 2.66, so it's identifying the CPU. 333 times 8. Ugh. I don't know what's going on with that. So I hope it actually reset the settings, or else I'm going to have to go in and manually reset the BIOS. And I think there's some other settings that I changed that I don't feel like looking for. Yep, it reset everything anyway. So if this doesn't work on this reboot, then I'm going to go ahead and reset the BIOS. I was actually wondering if I should reset all of those settings before I put this in there. And it seems to be accepting it now. Da, 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 da. So one of the things that you might want to do, here's the lesson you can learn from me, is if you have overclocking settings, don't CMOS checksum bad. Yeah, don't leave those settings on when you put in a new CPU. So we're going to go to the cell menu, I believe, overclock. Memory clock 800, FSB should not be 1333, I believe. Let me go ahead and just check on the box. I believe should have all that information. If not, then this little booklet will. This little sealed booklet. That's right, you void the warranty by reading the book. It tells you about installation. I don't care about any of that. I want to know what the front side bus speed is, because I just kind of forgot right now, and it's important. There's a graph. That's in Chinese. This is good stuff. So I guess it's 1333. I could always look up the product I ordered. That might be an easy way to do it. He wants to do it the easy way. Yep, it does not appear to say on the box, but it does have it in many, many different languages. This box contains an Intel processor and a thermal solution designed for use in a desktop PC. The full text of a 3-year limited warranty and installation instructions are contained in the booklet enclosed. Yeah, that doesn't really help me. So, I'm just going to double check to make sure that the front side bus is what I think it's supposed to be. And I apologize that this is kind of a boring, unexpected little moment here. The memory clock is definitely right. And you can adjust the CPU ratio. Well, the voltage settings are set back, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to go with this and just double check later. 1333 sounds good. we will see what happens. Wow. Yeah, it's doing this again. Alright, I'm going to shut it off and just hit the reset back here. CMOS reset. Clear CMOS. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, we'll reset. I would really like my computer to boot up, so this is unfortunately one of the things that you, I guess, do have to deal with when you install a new GPU or a CPU. And I don't like having the splash screen. Here we go. CMOS checksum bad, F2 to load default values and continue, which is what I should have done in the first place. And in the meantime, Firefox has opened. And it's little iris. Poor system performance. This is probably ruining the video.
Google.com U8400 Core2 Quad 30 MHz, so that is correct. Awesome. And there we are. I think I forgot to goof with the autofocus on my laptop. I made sure it was right on the desktop, but
Let's see how super fast it loads. I don't really know what to expect because Windows is probably freaking out. It's actually not as choppy as it would appear. It's smoother on the desktop screen than it is in the laptop screen. So that's all coming up right. And we'll get up that system properties screen. And make sure that everything's reporting correctly. It's taken a while. I do have a lot of startup programs. There we are, processor. Intel Core2 Quad CPU Q8400, 2.66 gigahertz, 2.67 gigahertz. Okay, I don't know why it's giving me two different numbers. So now it's retrieving the Windows rating. It's still a 5.9, and I really don't get it. You're so silly, Microsoft. Well, I guess that's it. Anyway, that's all for now. And so yeah, that's how you install a CPU. Good stuff. Sammy Samtastic out.